welcome to another episode of the Overland Garage, where we talk about vehicle tech. We talk about pretty much everything besides actual adventuring. And today we are talking about overlanding with dogs. And my good friend John DePierro is with me today because when I met John, he has had this sweetheart with him ever since, and we've known each other for 10 years now, I believe, sir. No, let's take that back. I think it was about 8 years, because 2016, we did the Morrison Jeep Trail, and just shortly before that, I think it was a year before that, we met.
Yep.
So it's been about 8 years that we've been out adventuring together.
Yeah, I saw you in one of your rigs, and I went over and started talking. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, ever since that I have met you, John, you have always had girl with you on your adventures. And we just did a big one today. We did the Morrison Jeep Trail. And she was running along next to us the whole time, pretty much, it seemed like.
She was pretty much out all day, yeah.
Yeah, and that's what I've always known. Girl is her name. John's dog's name is Girl. Not. Yes, she is a girl, but that is her name as well.
Yeah. It is.
But Girl's been out just adventuring with you pretty much ever since you've had her as a pup.
Yeah.
So that's been pretty cool.
Yeah, it's and John and I were talking about this little visit here earlier, and he was asking about, just give it some thought about, why do you have the dog and pros and cons, that sort of thing, and
why do you like overlanding with a dog?
Well, I mean, first of all, I enjoy the dog. I mean, she's enjoyable, and she's what's the word I would use? She minds well enough to she doesn't kind of get in the way, and she's a little wise of vehicles in this sense. She's learned and especially like a day like today. Well, first she loves people, so she's
she's
really
a people dog, yeah.
But on a day like today, especially when we're really not going hardly ever more than 10 miles an hour, she is just out there. And she can keep up. I mean, she can be at a little trot. Yeah. But then she'll go off and do her little things, chase a squirrel here and there, and.
Yep. I've noticed that. Yeah, she'll go running off for a critter, and it's not like she's chasing deer or anything like that.
No.
She just sees a ground squirrel or a bunny rabbit. Oh, rabbits get her going like crazy.
Yeah, she'll give chase for a little bit and then call it quits. Yeah.
And then like I'll be cruising along down the trail, and I'll look in the rearview mirror, and there she is trotting right behind the vehicle, just right by that tire. She knows not to get too close to it.
Right.
And then as soon as the vehicle comes to a stop, boom, she stops right there too. So
she's generally really good, and generally, I mean, I have to watch more, of course, if we have a real big crowd of vehicles, like I'll be more cautious.
Yeah.
But like with John, I'll just say, "Hey, John," I'll just jump on the radio and say, "Hey, John, Girl's out, just heads up."
Yeah.
And then he's aware, and
because then we both can keep an eye on her and stuff.
And she absolutely loves it. She's off camera now, but she's pretty much whooped.
Yes, she has been running for a long time.
Yeah.
So she old is Girl?
I think she's just a little over 8. So you're pretty accurate in the 8 years. Because she wasn't quite 6 months when I got her. So when she was just kind of a little wild dog, and given to me, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. So, you don't have to go into crazy detail, but give a little bit of backstory. How did you come across her?
So, as a matter of fact, I was working for some folks that live right down behind us here on a ranch in Sunlight. And they had a new pup, and I was just messing with it while we were working there that day.
Okay.
They kind of remembered that.
Yeah.
And a short time later, they gave a call, and they said, well, this guy, his mother-in-law, she has a ranch over in Clark, and her pups had a litter, and they was just too many for her.
Ah, gotcha.
So she had a bunch of stock dogs, and she said, "Hey," so this guy thought of me.
Oh, cool.
He said, "Are you still looking for a dog?" And so so I went over there, and
Okay.
one of them worked out to be real well. And that's where I got her from. She was just a kind of a wild dog. I mean, domesticated but wild.
And that's funny because, like, she is the epiphany of a dog that I would want.
Yeah,
She's super chill, super calm, like listens really well. Now, what breed is she?
So she's a mixed breed, but she's mostly Australian Shepherd, and she's got some Border Collie, at least that they know of in her.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So you like overlanding with a dog because, one, they're your companion, and two, they give a sense of joy and experience versus just being by yourself.
Absolutely. That is definitely the case. I mean, just watching her enjoy herself is really a blast.
Yeah.
And I tell you though, honestly, like, we camp in a lot of times where there is bear.
Yeah.
And it's nice to know that, even if we're hiking around or just in camp, I mean, not that she's going to be a bear attack dog, but she'd give
warning. Yeah. Warning's a big thing, because they're going to sense something before we are, in a sense, Their enhanced hearing and smell is way better than ours, so... Well, awesome. Okay.
Although last night you said, excuse me.
Oh, yeah.
John told me he heard some stuff.
Yeah. So about 1 o'clock in the morning, I heard the chirp of a mountain lion off in the distance, and the only way I could tell that is, one, I've heard that sound before, and two, the sound came from one area, and then I heard it again in another area, so it was on the move when it was giving that chirp.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so...
But the warning dog...
she was passed out with you in the camper, and she didn't care.
She didn't catch that one. No, John said this morning, "Did you hear that?" I'm like, "Sorry, buddy." No, not at all. Yeah.
So, there's obviously some pros and cons with camping or overlanding with a dog, and let's start off with the cons. So what is the downside of overlanding with a dog versus a person overlanding without a dog, and how do you overcome those downfalls?
Yeah, I think sometimes, depending on where you go, we generally are fortunate enough to be living where we do, and she doesn't have to be leashed up or that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But like we have camped in Colorado, like when we were in Silver City?
Silverton. Yeah.
We were in a campground with some other people, and they have to be on a leash.
Yeah.
So they have to do well on a leash. They can't be barking all night. They can't do that kind of stuff.
Yep.
I mean, it's not going to fly. I mean, I don't blame anyone.
And there's also the fact of you got to clean up after your dog.
You got to clean up after your dog. Yeah. So there's those things, and of course, she has a spot in the back of the Jeep. We travel in a little Jeep, and she's a hairy little thing. She makes a mess.
Yes, she does.
She's jumping in and out of the mud puddles, and she jumps in. So she's set up because she's done this so much that she'll kind of run up to the vehicle, and you can tell when she's getting tired.
Yeah.
She'll come up to the vehicle. I don't even have to get out. I can open the back door.
Yeah.
She bails in or bails out, and we just kind of keep moving.
So I guess I wouldn't even really say a con of owning or having a dog come with you is having a special area for them, because that's just like overlanding with kids. You make accommodations for other subjects, dog or person.
Sure. Whoever's with you.
Yeah. So, but I mean, well, I guess even kids, they get muddy and drag stuff inside the vehicle. So, so you go to locations that are, you got to have the dog on the leash. There's places that are not quite as friendly. I know there's quite a bit of restrictions when you go to national parks.
Yeah.
National parks, you really got to be careful there because
not real friendly for dogs.
They're not really friendly for dogs. You got to keep them in your vehicles, and then when you let them out of your vehicle, there's special places that you have to take them.
Yeah, they can't necessarily even walk to the attractions like you could. They're not even if they're on a leash.
Yeah, yeah.
That's correct.
So I guess if you're big into national park traveling and stuff, that's something really to consider.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You definitely have to be considerate of others. You know, like we're dog lovers.
Yeah.
Not everybody is.
That's very true.
And so, you know, I mean, she thinks everybody's in love with her, but they're not. You know.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So you just got to be respectful and mindful of others, but otherwise, you know, it really it's easy to overcome if you got your eyes open and you try to be considerate of others. It really hasn't been an issue for us. We've taken her on almost
every trip. Every trip she's in the back seat. I don't think there's ever been a time that you've gone out that she hasn't come.
Yeah, I believe you're right.
So, yeah, because she did Colorado. She does all the locals. She even went to Idaho when we did our week-long Idaho trip.
She did.
From Idaho across Montana back to Wyoming.
Yeah, and we stayed in some campgrounds, and there was one of those deals where we had to have her on a leash.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's okay.
So the cons is, you know, you got to be mindful of others if they're a dog lover or not. You know, you have to be mindful of the restrictions for dogs.
Yes, where they're allowed and where they're not. Yep.
So on those two things, because that seems like that's the biggest thing, you know, for con-wise, how do you overcome those?
Well, honestly, a lot of times, and it sounds like a weird maybe reason, but you know, me personally, I don't go a lot of places that the dog is not allowed.
Okay.
I mean, that's kind of it. I mean, I'm not saying she's superior and everything revolves around her, but she enjoys this stuff. Like, I remember one time even on a saddle horse ride, we were going to hit the corner of the park.
Oh.
And she wasn't allowed.
Yeah.
You weren't allowed to have a dog.
Yeah.
And, you know, it was a long pack trip, and I just opted out from going, you know. I mean, it sounds a little weird, but
you're mindful of that.
Yeah.
And you know, a lot of people out there, they classify their animals, their dogs, just as a kid. They're your kid in a sense. And so there's places that you're not going to take your kids to. Correct. And then there's places that you will take your kids to. So it's not more or less that she's controlling on where you're going. You're just being mindful of...
No, that's a good way to put it.
Of
right.
Like, you know, do I want to take my kid to this place?
Right. No.
Are my kids allowed to go into this place, or are they not? No. So it's kind of, you know, that's kind of what comes in my mind of more or less of your mindset to try to help describe your mindset, you know.
But she just loves it, and you know, I enjoy the company. You know, as long as John has known me, pretty much I've, you know, traveled alone, and she's great company. So on the pros, let's see if you can come up with some like real good, like not just in general, the pros of overlanding a dog. What would you think the pros would be versus traveling with another person? You mean...
So what is it about overlanding with a dog that is so unique and special versus overlanding with another person with you?
Oh, wow. That's a good question, Mr. John.
So, because overlanding with a person, you can talk with them, adventure, share, all that.
Right.
But that's different with a dog. They can't talk to you. They can't go, oh, yeah, I think this is an amazing hole. You see what's in this hole here? I smell something amazing in there. They can't share that with you. So what is it about the overlanding with a dog that you really enjoy, the pros of it, that's different than with a person?
That's an interesting thing. And I guess what it bottom line comes down to is that I would very much enjoy having a partner traveling with me.
Of course.
That would definitely override the dog thing, you know.
Of course.
And, you know...
Ladies out there?
Yeah. I'll get the dog, yeah. So, but, you know, that's interesting. Like, you know, I'm fortunate on the trips, when we go on these trips, seldom do I go alone on an overland trip.
Right.
But if I do, I have her for company, and she is good company. But when we're traveling, we have the radio, so I don't ever feel like I'm alone.
Right.
A lot of times Cove jumps in with me or somebody jumps in with me.
Yeah, my boys, I've got 3 boys, and what we'll do is we'll say, hey, go ride with John for a while.
Yeah, and so I have company, and I don't. So I never feel like I'm alone. Like again,
Yeah.
It's different, a partnership thing, but
Right.
But that obviously she's a dog. She's not a human. Like I thought a lot today about having somebody with. It didn't make or break the trip. It would just have been cool to share some things with somebody.
Yeah.
But,
But like with her, you get like there's got to be a certain joy of just like it's different if I was riding in the passenger seat with you. There's something with her that you enjoy, that like she does something, you traveling with her, there's something that you probably enjoy differently than what it would be with me sitting next to you.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, that's interesting. I mean, we have, these dogs. Hopefully she's looking, she just became alerted by something. I hope it's nothing we need to be alerted about.
Right.
But they're real tuned into people. They're real tuned into, especially like their owner.
Mm-hmm.
And we have quite a little relationship. We've been together quite a while, and so I just enjoy her company.
Yeah.
It's almost like I don't have to make special concessions, except she has a spot to stay. She has food and water. I know she's comfortable, and I mean, that's almost a tough question to answer.
So here's something that kind of comes to my mind. Overlanding with a dog, they never talk back.
There's always that.
They're never going to have an argument with you.
Right. And she's not scared of nothing. I mean, she's not.
Well, excuse you.
Yeah. I mean, no matter where we go, like, she's just good with it.
Yeah. Yeah. She doesn't care where you're going as long as you're out on an adventure.
As long as she's involved.
Yeah.
When John was helping me get loaded up for this trip, I mean, she was a pain in the butt because she wanted to make sure she was in the Jeep.
Yeah, she was like sitting there at the bottom of the door like, I'm not moving until this door opens.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, she wants to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, anybody who has a dog, they get that.
But, well, very cool.
Yeah.
So, if somebody was just getting into overlanding and they have a dog,
right,
what would you recommend to them? So they're like, well, I don't know if I should bring my dog or not. What would you recommend to them? What would you encourage them on? Why would you encourage them bringing their dog?
I would encourage them to bring their dog. I mean, if that's something they wanted to do. And then just, make sure you start going to a place where it's not like there's a heavy traffic or obviously restrictions allow.
Yeah.
And they'll get really used to, like following a vehicle, keeping their distance from a vehicle. But they got to be taught too.
Yes.
I mean, they have to get used to that.
Yes.
You have to be real careful in the beginning.
Yes.
Because, I mean, obviously you're a moving vehicle. The dog can get run over easily.
Mm-hmm.
But, I would just slowly break them into it, They'll get the hang of it pretty quick.
And dogs are pretty good learners. They're pretty quick about knowing what they can and can't do, and they'll quickly learn their boundaries and yeah, of course there's some out there that they're going to follow their noses and not even care.
Yeah, that's a problem. There has to be some discipline involved because you don't want them chasing game and you don't want them doing things like that.
Right.
Yeah.
So as a new Overlander, start off small, go local.
Yeah, go easy. Even you can be close to home, and if you have a place to go that has some acreage, and just let the dog out and just start crawling away. Let them get used to I can follow you.
Yeah.
That sort of thing.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, John. I greatly appreciate this Overlanding with Dogs interview, and this has been great.
I always appreciate taking the dog.
Yeah. That's cool.
It's nice to know that everybody, at least the trips we go on, nobody has a.
Oh, everybody falls in love with her and wants to take her home. That's for sure.
Yeah, it works out well. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks for joining us on this
Thanks, folks.
Overlanding Garage episode. Until next time, we'll see you out on the trail.